Good morning. My name is Joseph Weglarz, and I'll be your host this morning for today's symposium. On behalf of my colleagues, Professors Harry C. Verizor, Professor Ablay Kamara, and Professor Mike DiGiovanni, all of us here today, as well as myself, the University of Detroit Mercy Department of Economics, the UDM Economics Club, and the Michigan Council on Economic Education, the UDM Center. Again, I'd like to thank all of you for spending a little bit of time this Saturday morning with us. Over the past decade, the University of Detroit Mercy has been offering graduate and undergraduate courses in economics at Macomb University Center. We really encourage you to tell all your friends and colleagues about our programs, and there's a bunch of brochures in the back there you can take home and read them for yourself. There's a new little twist that I've added this year. It's called Lunch with the Professor. So any fledgling economists out there, based on the assumption that I have to eat anyway, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I will invite everybody to have lunch with me, and we can talk about the state of the world, the econ programs, or anything you want to talk about. So I open that up to those who are here at community college, also high school students who are interested in econ. After all, it's all about a conversation, and the conversation is economics here on Saturday morning. One of the exciting developments at UDM, of course, is the recent granting of the University of 96 transfer credits from Macomb Community College. So if we think about that, this really leaves only 10 courses plus the 96 to get your financial econ degree at the University of Detroit Mercy. Our rates are highly competitive, and I really consider, given that the University of Detroit Mercy is a private institution of higher learning, it's really the best deal in town, especially here in Macomb County. Not only for undergrads, but also for grads. The tuition for credit hours, $533 undergrad, and $776 for graduate students. I've met a couple of alumni, and they said they're interested in coming back for the graduate degree, and I think the price is right, and the location is right as well. If we look at the world today, and we look at the absence, I think, of right economic thought, it's, I think, wonderful for all of us to be here and have that conversation. So that's what we're going to do today. Part of our job as econ professors, and I think as citizens of this great country, is to tell other people about economics and how exciting of a discipline it is, how unpredictable it is, and I think how not boring it is. It's not very boring at all. It's very exciting. In fact, it's all about common sense. I know I recently talked to Professor Verizor about some of the things that were going on in the economy, and he says, well, gee whiz, it's just all you have to do is apply common sense to things. Yes, we can apply common sense to things, but sometimes politicians can't, or those who are obviously have a vested interest in things can't really do so. Alfred Marshall, back in 1890, wrote a textbook that was more than a textbook. It was really sort of the compilation of economic thought for the last century, meaning the 19th century. And this is what he said. He said, quote, "The economist needs three great intellectual faculties: perception, imagination, and reason. And most of all, he needs imagination to put him on the track of those causes of visible events which are remote or lie below the surface." So I think it's this use of imagination more than anything else that provides us a glimpse of what is true and what is kind of illusionary, where we think of things that we think are true but really aren't. But the imagination can lead us to a different level, I think, and that's important. So, are we looking at an economic future full of prosperity or an economic future in decline? We will have a short 10-minute intermission after Professor Long's presentation. And after all the presentations, we'll have a question and answer period. And sometimes those are the most lively. And also after the symposium, I know all the speakers will stay here and answer some questions if we go beyond our time. I like to try and keep things on schedule. Everyone has busy schedules as well. And then finally, if you can hang around, we always traditionally have a couple of things for a lucky few with our UDM drawing. So please stick around for that. My brief talk is simply entitled The Trump Effect. So it's going to be a bit of a rambling thing, but stick with me, hopefully. The election of Donald Trump has caused shockwaves not only throughout the United States, but throughout the world. In an election upset not seen since 1948, the new president has begun his tenure in office in a rather unusual fashion, declaring war on the press and calling them the enemy of the people. The president believes he can appeal directly to his constituency through executive orders and tweets. There will undoubtedly, hopefully, be a settling down period. In the meantime, where are we in the economy, and what can the past possibly tell us about the future? The current economic expansion is in its 91st month, with the Standard & Poor's index up more than 167%. With the average expansion since 1900 at approximately 47 months, it's unlikely that the market will continue its precipitous rise. Although, again, I can't forecast that. Additionally, according to the National Bureau of Economic Research, since the last peak in the fourth quarter of 2007, the total growth of the economy has been measured at approximately 11%, but the average amount of cumulative growth in prior expansions was approximately 23%. The Federal Reserve as well has estimated that the long-term annualized growth rate of the U.S. economy, meaning what real GDP, throughout a business cycle is around 3%. But during the most recent expansion, which began in the second quarter of 2009, real GDP growth has been a meager 2.1%. In short, the Trump administration is facing the slowest economic expansion since World War II. Is President Trump a capitalist, progressive, populist, or even a mercantilist? John Maynard Keynes, move over. One of his most insistent campaign pledges was to rebuild the highways, the bridges, the tunnels, the airports, the schools, and the hospitals of this country. A noble what? A noble proposal. I'm sure this building infrastructure plan is now in the works and will supposedly put millions of people back to work. Tax cuts are another cornerstone issue for the administration, both individual and corporate. In fact, the United States corporate tax rate at 35% is the highest in the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. But he also wants to increase military spending. It is not possible to lower taxes and simultaneously increase government spending and create real wealth in the economy. If the central economic goal of the Trump administration is to boost economic growth, lifting unnecessary regulations is viewed by many as key to creating new incentives and making the United States an attractive investment destination again. Along with more competitive corporate tax rates, expanded domestic energy production, repeal and replace of the Affordable Care Act, and trade deals that give the United States and its companies a fair chance to compete, in quotes, policy initiatives undoubtedly that are right now in the pipeline is a pathway most certainly toward greater prosperity. Or is it? As our symposium speakers will show, the economy, despite the bluster of the president, is at a fragile juncture, with various monetary and fiscal policies in play. Despite it all, our economy and our nation will survive. I close with some very uplifting words by English historian Paul Johnson from his monumental work, A History of the American People. Quote, "The story of America is essentially one of difficulties being overcome by intelligence and skill, by faith and strength of purpose, by courage and persistence. America today, with its splendid cities, its vast wealth, and its unrivaled power, is a human achievement without parallel. There have indeed been many setbacks in 400 years of American history and many unresolved problems, some of daunting size, and they remain. But the Americans are," and again, this is an Englishman speaking, right? Someone from the outside, not looking in, but someone looking in from the outside. But the Americans are, above all, a problem-solving people. They do not believe that anything in this world is beyond human capacity to soar and dominate. They will not give up. Full of essential goodwill to each other and to all, confident in their inherent decency and their democratic skills, they will attack again and again the ills of their society until they have overcome, or at least substantially redressed. So the ship of state sails on, and mankind still continues to watch its progress with wonder and amazement and sometimes apprehension as it moves into the unknown waters of the third millennium, looking back on its past and forward to its future. The auguries are that it will not disappoint an expectant humanity. End quote. Thank you.